like that and push. You outboxed the fucking best boxer in the world for rounds. You beat him at his own game. Your game plan was perfect. Perfect. He nicked it just at the end. He nicked it at the end. He was fucking around. That's all it was. But that fight up until 10 was dead fucking level. You was outboxing the best boxer in the world. Just stop Rose, mate.
You were up
Rose, like
you
come out of that with victory, mate. Like honestly, you know, if there was any doubters out there now, bro, there's fucking none now at all.
Right, if I was on the phone to the Chinese, local Chinese, it'd be egg fried rice, special fried rice, large, plain chow mein, shredded chicken chow mein, large, salt and chili king prawn, salt and chili chicken, kung po prawn, sweet and sour chicken balls, sweet and sour pork balls, shredded chili beef, beef in black bean sauce, mini pancake rolls, large pancake roll, curry sauce, 2 portions of prawn crackers. Bosh.
2, 3, 4, 5, higher. 6, 7, 2 more. 8, 9, 10. Yeah. And keep it
Remember when you're up, because when I bring people up here and I start cracking your glass straws, none of you will like it. When your jaws start breaking, people start chasing you out of this uni, none of you will like it. Watch your mouths, because you don't know who you're talking to sometimes. I know, listen, all that public eye bullshit, I ain't into all that.
I'm all over the world, whooping ass. You think I'm fighting a regular? You smoking crack. I got a family to feed. Get the bag. If you ain't talking about money, get the fuck back. I don't like fucking shit, but
fuck it, that's enough. I've got work to do. I better crack on with this show, innit? Get this over and done with. Big up Jason Walker. You guys missed it yesterday. PBC coming in the chat yesterday. That was jokes. Like, the official PBC account, yeah, the one with 1.5 million subscribers, apparently is now subscribed to this channel. They dropped into the chat last night and just started talking randomly. They say they pop into live streams of boxing creators, and they talk randomly to people. So yeah, they were in here chatting last night. Talk about that another time. Okay, let's quickly get this over and done with. This up and coming week here is going to be one of the hardest weeks of the year for Queensbury Promotions employees like yours truly here. It's going to be tough, innit? This fool Frank Warren, yeah? Remember this? 9 days ago, Frank Warren tells TalkSport that Fury versus Usyk will 100% take place on the last Saturday in April. Well, it ain't looking too good at the minute, is it? It ain't looking too good. Tell you something, I might have to do a little bit of a disappearing act, yeah, off the internet for a good while, because something not very good is about to happen. So let's show you the latest here. I don't think this is really surprising to anybody, but according to Mike Coppinger, who just very rarely, if ever, misses, right? Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk is reportedly now more likely to take place in England than Saudi Arabia, if it happens at all. It ain't happening. I've been saying this for weeks now. This fight ain't gonna happen next. It's claimed there's a long way to go in the process of trying to agree a deal which financially satisfies both men. So we'll see. I guess the question I'm asking, I know the answer that I feel, but we'll do it for the love. We'll get it over and done with. Does anybody think that Tyson Fury is scared of Alexander Usyk? You know my opinion about this. You know my opinion about fighters being scared of other fighters. Yeah, sometimes they are, but you know, for the most part, you know, these guys will fight anybody. They're fighting men, etc., etc. But I'm interested in comments. If people want to put comments in about why they think this fight's not happening at this point in time. I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to spend copious amounts of time looking into TV deals, pay-per-view deals, the quote-unquote Saudis. I don't give a shit. I really don't care, to be honest with you, innit? Why would I waste my time doing that? It makes no sense, innit? I'd rather go down to the fucking boxing gym, innit? with my friends, innit? We have a move around. Rather than wasting my time on the internet looking up all these. I don't think anybody knows what's going on. But having said that, Fury is going to be heavily criticised in the next coming week. And he deserves it, doesn't he? He does deserve it, doesn't he? He does deserve it, right? Frank Warren is going to be heavily criticised in the next 7 days. And you know what? He deserves it. Because when you come on Talk Sport, at the end of the day, these are the same things that we used to criticise Eddie Hearn for. Remember we used to criticise Eddie Hearn for giving updates about updates? All of you saying, oh look, this guy's always giving us an update about an update. Just fucking shut the hell up and tell us when the fight happens, right? Frank Warren's fallen into the exact same trap in his fight. He's on Talk Sport every other week. He's on Talk Sport every other week saying this fight is 100% going to happen. Well, at the minute, it ain't looking good. I'm thinking about booking a one-way ticket, I'm thinking about booking a one-way ticket to Cancun in the next week and a half or something because, boy, the internet ain't going to be pretty. All right, let's go through some of your comments. Mad Chad Sports Team says, Belly is scared of Rabbit. Mad Chad Sports Team says, Usyk will box Belly's ears off. Belly knows it. Usyk couldn't box the ears off Maris Bradis and Michael Hunter. I'm just interested. Do you guys think that's a fair comment or not a fair comment? Because I watched both of those fights, yeah. Actually, no, I didn't watch all the Bradis fight. I've seen bits. The Hunter fight I stood up for life. Did Alexander Usyk? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right? Did Alexander Usyk box the ears off Michael Hunter at cruiserweight? Did he box the ears off Maris Bradis at cruiserweight? Did he box the ears off Derek Chisora at heavyweight? I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there. I'm just saying. I have to throw it out there. You know I'm a big fan of Usyk. I think he can beat Fury. But I think for him to beat Fury, Fury will have to employ the wrong tactics. Because, you know, the height and the reach is massive. And anybody who's been in the ring with somebody who's got superior height and vastly superior reach knows no matter how skilled you are, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Ask Vasily Lomachenko when he got in the ring against a much bigger Teofimo Lopez. He struggled, didn't he, in the first 5 or 6. So anyway, let me know what you think about that, Mad Chad. Is Fury scared? If he's scared, what's he scared of? Just tell me. Like, he might be. Maybe he is. Maybe I've read this all wrong. Maybe Fury's definitely afraid of Usyk. What performance has he seen? What performance has he seen that makes him, as Fury's seen from Usyk, that makes him scared? Belly is not the same Belly of years ago. What does that mean? What's different, Mad Chad? What's different? Tell me. Are you trying to tell me his legs have gone? Is that what you're trying to tell me? What do you mean by that? I don't understand what that means. If anybody else has got any comments in the comment section, which actually makes sense, let me know. Fury is not scared of Usyk, but he's scared to lose. There's a difference. It's a fair comment. I think all fighters are scared to lose. I think all of them. I think they're all scared to lose, aren't they? No one wants to lose. I think all fighters have that bit of doubt, don't they? I think we went through this the other day with Callum Johnson, didn't we? When Callum Johnson did a really, really good interview with my mate Dev Sani from Queensbury Sports, and he was the one, because obviously Callum Johnson's the one who probably did arguably the best against Artur Beterbiev. And Callum Johnson said, like I said before, he said, all fighters have a little bit of fear or doubt. It was this interview here. It was actually on BT Sport Boxing. I think it was this one here. But Callum Johnson did an interview, and he said any fighter who says that they get in the ring and they're not scared, or they're not, they're not a little bit apprehensive. You know what I mean? He says he's a fucking liar, isn't he? Fucking liar. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he is. Right, Spotless Leopard. I'm just gonna read you guys' comments out. I'm trying not to argue with you guys. Let's read this. Right. Scared is not the scared is the wrong word. Doubtful is more likely. He's watched him circle Joshua like a bird of prey for 24 rounds. Jesus Christ. Fury can be goaded into this fight, though. Pride is a heavy emotion. So you think that Fury has seen Usyk's performances against Anthony Joshua, and for that reason, he's scared. Those performances that Usyk put on against Anthony Joshua has scared him into not taking this fight. That's what we're saying, yeah? All right. Fair enough. Let's keep going. Give me your comments. I'm just listening to you guys. I'm not going to say nothing because I don't want to influence the way you think, and I don't want you guys to feel that you have to agree with me. So I'm interested in what you guys are saying. So you think it's the Anthony Joshua fight? For me, if I'm being honest, I don't think Anthony Joshua gets enough credit for his performance in that second fight with Alexander Usyk. To be honest with you, just hand on heart, yeah. I think he hurt Alexander Usyk more than I've ever seen Usyk hurt. Ever. Like, he really did hurt him. I think it was at round 9, round 10. With that left hook, to be honest, that he should have been thrown from the get-go. I've been saying this about Usyk for some time, you know. That left hook against him is a real key shot. Tyson Fury's got a great left hook as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I thought Anthony Joshua actually hurt him. Round 9, round 10. Hurt him. You know? Hurt him. But he was, you know, he'd taken too many shots over the course of the fight, was gassed out and wasn't able to cap. Usyk's obviously an all-time great as well. And he couldn't make it stick. But I think the second fight in particular, what do you guys think? I mean, obviously, a rematch, you know, one guy, you know, can get better. But what do you think about that second fight? I thought Anthony Joshua's performance in the second fight was excellent, to be honest. I just think, you know, it was what it was, a bad style matchup. But I thought you hurt Usyk. Do you not think Usyk was hurt? Was it round 10? You got it with that left hook. You look hurt to me. But I don't know. Let's have a look. DJ in one says, Usyk has that air of confidence that instills doubt in some opponents. I can buy into that. I can absolutely buy into that. He doesn't appear to have much doubt, does he? But it is what it is. I'll go through some more comments. I'm going through them. I'm not going through your comments in order. So if I haven't read your comment out, just don't worry, all right? Don't worry. Because I haven't got your... I'm not reading them in order. Captain Rose says, I don't see why Fury won't fight him unless he's protecting that O in his brand. Brian Burke says, no one calls a guy they're scared of middleweight. Brian Burke, you guys are going to the new camp in 4 days' time. Good luck. I'm going to be... I think we might have to cover that live, innit? Is Casemiro going to be there, yeah? We're going to see how he bosses the midfield in the new camp, yeah? Against Pedri and Gavi. Bossing the midfield. You know, I've got some things for you about Casemiro. That old man Casemiro. One of the most overrated players I've seen. Trust me. Anyway, let me carry on. Shevin says, it's hard to make a fight without Saudi money as Usyk brings no money to this fight. It's a lot of dollars not to share. So it's not a lot of dollars to share as this is as it's not a big commercial fight. Belts don't make you a draw. What do you guys think about Shevin's point now? I'll reread it one more time because I butchered it a bit. It's a hard fight to make without Saudi money as Usyk brings no money to this fight and it's not a lot of money to share as it's not a big commercial fight. Belts don't make you a draw. I think there's a lot of arguments out there that Tyson Fury isn't much of a draw in America either. Some people would argue that Fury's not really showing any signs he's much of a big deal in America either, to be honest. But then again, Fury is the one who can do 95,000. We know Fury can sell stadiums out in the UK. Usyk isn't, you know, Usyk's more for hardcore boxing fans, isn't he? Usyk's not really the kind of fighter that the sort of the casuals take to, is he? I don't think anybody can come out and say like Alexander Usyk is some kind of like big draw. Not that I'm aware of, but if anybody has data to the otherwise, let me know. Jason is saying they are not getting the money from Saudi that they want, holding out for as long as possible for the Saudis. Fight gets made next week if they decide Wembley. Maybe Fury thinks he deserves 60%. I would love to see it in the UK, wouldn't you? I would love to see it in the UK. To be honest, to me, like I just think that'd be cherry on the top, you know. Just for me as a fan, like I'm not talking about splits, who gets more, who gets less, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about. I would just love to see that fight happen in the UK. Just think it'd be great for the corpse that is UK boxing and what's left of it, which ain't much. C says if he wasn't afraid of Klitschko, he shouldn't be afraid of Usyk. I'm just gonna let you guys talk on it. Tell me, like, if this fight doesn't get made, he will be accused of being a coward, and he has to live with that. Just the way it is, like, he will be accused of being a coward, and that's how it goes. You know. People are saying online. What do you guys think of this? They're saying that Fury and Warren gave Anthony Joshua some fucking deadline, didn't they? Remember when Fury was the deadline setter? And they were setting deadlines with Anthony Joshua. Otherwise, they were going to move on, innit? And now they're saying, well, now all of a sudden there's no deadlines or something, like, this fight ain't happening. Do you remember that? There are few people. Maybe that's a good one. Remember stuff like this? Look, you can see it on the screen. Look. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to drag the fucking thing up. They're saying Fury, when Fury was fighting Anthony Joshua, when Fury was trying to fight Anthony Joshua, he was setting deadlines, right? And they were saying that 3 weeks or something, or 4 weeks, or whatever it was more than enough time to make this fight. Well, this time around, they've had a lot more time to make this fight, and they haven't done it. Does that make sense? I didn't get much sleep last night, so maybe I'm not making too much sense. But you know, for me, when you say the kind of things that Fury and Frank Warren have been saying recently, right? So we justify Chisora. How do you justify Chisora? Which is a bum fight, yeah? Justify Chisora by saying that he needs a tune-up before he fights Usyk. Okay, fair enough, right? Take you up the bottom for that one, right? Then you guarantee the fight's going to happen, and the fight doesn't happen. Meanwhile, previously, in the run-up to this Chisora fight, you were saying to everybody that, you know, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury can be made in a matter of weeks, and, you know, we're setting deadlines or we can move on and all this stuff. It doesn't look good. It's a terrible look, innit? It's a terrible look, innit? It is a terrible look, and it's what happens when you talk too much, innit? When you talk too much, as I found out many times, whenever you talk a little bit too much, there's always a contradiction there. So Fury's gonna have to take the heat, innit? When it comes out that this fight's not happening, which I don't have any inside information, but I've never really believed that this fight's happening next. I think if you listen to some of my shows over the last couple of months, I've always said, like, I don't think this fight will happen. I think it will happen, absolutely. I think it will happen. I think it's possible it happen for Undisputed as well. But I do think that one of them's going to have to fight somebody else next, because it's getting to the point where people have been outside of the ring for a very long time, and sooner or later, yeah, somebody is going to have to go out and fight somebody. Maybe Dubois will get that shot against Usyk. What do you think, just in case? What do you think about a Dubois for Usyk? Just slide Dubois in there, just in case. Just see if Dubois can take anything away from him beforehand. Fucking hell, innit? Desperate measures, innit? Fucking hell, when we're sending Dubois in there to take an L, it's desperate measures, innit? Desperate measures, mate. Times are tough, man. Times are tough down in Hertfordshire, man. Tough times down in Hertfordshire when we're sending in Dubois, innit? These are the old Hearn tactics. Do you remember what at the Eddie Hearn tactics was when someone wanted to fight AJ? Do you remember? Anytime someone decent wanted to fight AJ, it was, yeah, you need to fight Dillian White first, and then you need to fight Tony Bellew. Do you remember that? Do you remember when David Haye actually looked like he might have something left in it? David Haye's like, look, do you remember that? David Haye, yeah, did one of the most vicious call. People forget, yeah, David Haye did one of the most vicious, brutal call-outs of Anthony Joshua ever. Like, David Haye went on camera in it, and he was like, remember he went to IFL TV. This was so funny, and he said, you know, it's Anthony Joshua. Don't mention my name, innit? Remember that David Haye said that? He said, you know, Anthony Joshua, don't mention my name, innit? Because he knows, innit? Because you know how David Haye was. This is before David Haye turned vegan. See, when David Haye turned vegan, this is the whole problem, innit? When that protein, yeah, when that red meat stops coursing through your veins, you become a different person. But David Haye was talking hectic though, isn't he? He's going, see, Anthony Joshua, don't chat my name. Because he knows, innit? He knows what will happen, innit? He knows that I'm about that business. That's basically what he said word for word. So he knows that I'm what I'm about, innit? That's what he said. He said he knows what I'm about, innit? He knows what will happen, innit? And then Haye went vegan. And started eating plants. And now look at him. He's chilled out, isn't he? He's all chilled out, isn't he? He's lost a shit ton of weight. He no longer carries all that muscle anymore. And he chills out in Costa Rica with his fucking 18 girlfriends. But when he was eating red meat, when David Haye was on the steak, mate, he was a different animal. Anyway, why are we talking about David Haye for anyway? Yeah. So, it is what it is. I don't know. So how do we get to David Haye? Anyway, let's have a look. DJ N1 says, mind games won't work on Daniel Dubois. He won't know what's going on. Can you imagine that press conference? Dubois and Usyk in that press conference. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Look at all. You got to be careful. You got one who doesn't speak English versus one who can't speak English. In Dubois versus Usyk. Jesus Christ almighty. I wonder, you know. I wonder if we're going to see Dubois versus Usyk, you know. We go from Kevin Lorena, yeah, to Usyk. I wonder if we're going to see that, you know. I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see. Sorry, let me carry on. Let me go through some of these comments. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, someone's saying about if Usyk has all these fans. Oh, I don't know. I don't think Usyk is a big draw. But Thomas says, just turned on. I don't think he's scared. He wanted it in December, probably when he was pissing clean looking at boxing these days. You know what? Nothing would surprise you in the sport of boxing anymore, would it? Spotless Leopard says, July the 1st, Old Trafford, Manchester. That wouldn't surprise me. Look, if that fight gets made, fantastic. I'm just saying, if it doesn't, yeah? If it doesn't, then what can you say, innit? Let me ask you guys, let me push the conversation along and then we'll move on a little bit. If it doesn't happen, does Fury have any sort of defence? What's his defence? You might have to get Conor Ben's lawyers on the phone. Actually, mind you, they kind of shared the same lawyer, didn't they? But what's he going to do? If that fight doesn't happen, what's his defence? Who does he fight? Who does Fury even fight next? Because he's already done Chisora. Who is he going to fight? Is he going to not fight and wait to fight Joe Joyce or something? Who is he going to fight? We check the Ring Magazine rankings for the lols. Who would Fury fight? Better not be Manuel Char. Can you imagine that? That ain't going to happen, but that would be indefensible. Like, even me, like, I wouldn't be able to defend that, to be honest. Let me just check these Ring Magazine rankings in a minute. The Ring Magazine rankings are a bit of a joke, but it is what it is. Rather, so I'm just trying to figure out, if he doesn't fight Alexander Usyk next, he's got a WBC title that needs to be defended, yeah? Who's he going to defend it against? Fucking Zhilei Zhang's fighting Joe Joyce. Anthony Joshua's getting in the ring with fucking Jermaine Franklin. Deontay Wilder ain't going to happen again. Joe Joyce, obviously, probably not likely to happen. Andy Ruiz is supposed to be fighting Deontay Wilder. But you do wonder if PBC would graciously allow Andy Ruiz to jump in the ring with Tyson Fury. They've done that sort of thing before. Would they consider lending Andy Ruiz over to the UK? Fights for the WBC title. And if Andy Ruiz pulls off the upset, they take it straight back to America again and fight Wilder. Well, there'll probably be a rematch clause stopping them doing that. But you know what I mean? Toby Players is saying white rematch. Oh my gosh. Indefensible. Absolutely indefensible. Seriously. Indefensible. I'm being serious about that. Like, indefensible. Filip Hrgović. That's a good fight. Hrgović comes to fight, didn't he? Hrgović comes to fight and he leaves his chin out to dry. Hrgović comes out to fight and leaves his chin straight on the washing line. Somebody's going to get fucking stopped in that fight. You'd imagine, innit? Hrgović is a tough guy, innit? But, I mean, he hangs that chin out to dry. I'd take that fight. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Hrgović is Matchroom, of course, yeah. And then you know what they tried to do with the whole Hrgović thing, didn't they? They tried to make Hrgović step in the way of Undisputed. Look, it's not looking good, is it? Like, does Fury have anything? Does Fury have anything left to fight? If you don't fight Usyk, really, has he got anybody really left to see fight? Just trying to figure it out. I should be looking at WBC rankings, shouldn't I? Let's have a look at it. I don't really look at these rankings much. Seriously, I've never been a guy that's been into like looking at rankings and fucking numbers on paper. I've just never been that kind of dude. It's just not for me. Here we go. I think we've got the WBC rankings here. I don't know how up to date these are, but these are the ones from Box Live, all right? Now, obviously you've got the champion here. Wilder's number one. Oh, Jesus. Ruiz Jr., Sanchez, Makdumov I haven't seen. You know who? Big Meech. Bacole. Oh my God. Bacole. Warlin. Jared Anderson will never happen for obvious reasons. The mates. Parker will never happen. Ortiz is Garbo and 50 years old. He's not Garbo, but he's only 50 years old. No. Zhang. Jalovov. Oh, God. I don't know. It's bad, isn't it? It's real bad, isn't it? Brian Burke says White rematch would be worse than Chisora. Oh my god, it's bad, isn't it? Liam Davis says Usyk has gotten in his head. Eddie said he's gone quiet because he's not used to that type of opponent. Is that what Eddie said? Did Eddie say that? Does Eddie say that Usyk's gotten in Fury's head and he's gone quiet because he's not used to this type of opponent? But they love the mind games down there, don't they? I look at this fight, yeah. And I can see Usyk winning, but I can see Usyk winning because I can see Fury doing dumb shit. So I can see Fury trying to push him around, right? So excuse me, I can see Fury being very, very aggressive, yeah, and giving up his distance basically. That's how I see Usyk winning. I see Fury being overly aggressive, yeah, and falling over his front foot. And Usyk landing shots as he comes in. That's it. That's pretty much the only way I can see Usyk winning this fight. Is if Fury plays smart and fights a boring fight, really, a boring fight, and just keeps touching him up at range. It should be an ABC 1-2-3 fight for Tyson Fury. To be honest with you, it really should be an ABC 1-2-3 fight. The height and reach advantage is just too much. But if he tries to make it anything other than an extremely boring fight, and he starts trying to go in there and get this guy out of there, and he starts believing in, oh, he's a middleweight, I need to get the middleweight out of there, and he starts giving up his distance and starts really pushing the shots, you know, he could end up, you know, and I'm not saying get hurt or anything, but I can see him, I can see Usyk picking him off and stealing some form of decision against him, you know, if he overcommits with the shots. So if you think about Fury and how he was against Wilder, where he was really, really pushing forward, so you think about Wilder 2 and 3, he's really pushing forward, stabbing the jab out there, heavy jab, heavy right hand, you know. For me, like I said, he'll have to fight similar to how he fought in the White versus Chisora fight. Be patient. You need to be patient with Usyk. Touch, keep distance, and almost try and counterpunch the counterpuncher type deal. For me, almost try and counterpunch the counterpuncher. Always keep him at range. Always keep him at distance. Don't overcommit. If he doesn't overcommit and get up his distance, there's no reason he should lose the fight, because the height and the reach advantage is just humongous. And that is it to the fight. Honestly, like, people will come on like the internet and they'll try and tell you all these fucking magical stories, innit, about all these magical tactics that Usyk can do and Fury can do, and they'll try and, you know, do these quote-unquote breakdowns. I promise you, it's all a fucking waste of time. Height and reach advantage in boxing is absolutely massive. It's a physical sport. People who've been in the ring will tell you that, you know. Listen, you can have all the fucking skill in the world, you can have all the skipping in the world, you can have all the feints in the world, but at the end of the day, if you're in the ring with somebody who is vastly taller and has vastly longer reach and knows how to use it, it's very, very difficult. And again, I would refer you to Vasily Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, particularly those first 4 or 5 rounds, where Vasily Lomachenko really did struggle to get past the jab, yeah, of Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo double jabbed him, backed him up in straight lines, was bouncing him off the ropes, and he is finding it very, very, and again, later on in the fight, I thought Lomachenko, you know, actually started beating him up later on in the second half of the fight. I thought Lomachenko's performance was very underrated. I thought he actually started to beat Teofimo Lopez up in the second half of that fight, but Teofimo won it on the work he done in that first round. But, you know, Teofimo Lopez isn't even in the same ballpark as Vasily Lomachenko skill for skill. It's not even in the same ballpark. Doesn't even have remotely the same skill set, yeah, as Vasily. But you saw what happened in that fight, didn't you? Do you know what I mean? The size disadvantage was too big. It was just too big. There comes a point where the size disadvantage is just too much, you know, and it's simple as that. And if Fury knows how to use his reach and range, it should really be an open and shut night. But like I said, in his recent fights, some of his recent fights, he's been very aggressive. If he overcommits and tries to get Usyk out of there, he'll run himself into a couple of shots. And I think maybe Usyk can steal a points decision. Captain Rose says, Usyk can hurt Fury if Cunningham can. I think every Tyson Fury fight, we go down this road, don't we? Bringing up Cunningham. Next minute, we'll be bringing up John McDermott and stuff. I don't think Fury's the same fighter. To be honest with you, I just don't think he's remotely the same fighter that fought Steve Cunningham. But I could be wrong. I think physically he's different. Physically, if you look at the physicality of him, if you look at him, particularly in the second Wilder fight, if you look at his body shape, to me he's a bit more heavy set, a little bit more muscular. He's got more in the arms now. To me, physically he's different to what he was in those Cunningham and McDermott fights and fights like that. Physically he's different, and I think boxing wise he's different as well. To be honest with you. That's my honest truth. So yeah, it's up to you. If you want to go and hang your hat on Steve Cunningham, you know, feel free to do so. But me personally, I wouldn't bet on that. I wouldn't bet on that. But we'll go through. Look, Jungle is Massive says Steve Cunningham nearly had him out of there. John McDermott. Oh, I knew we'd hear about John McDermott. John McDermott beat him in the first fight. He doesn't like punching down. We'll see what happens. He likes throwing uppercuts, doesn't he? He seems to do all right against short opponents like Chisora and White, though, doesn't he? It's funny that. I mean, I'm not saying Usyk's Chisora and White, but he seems to be able to. In his recent fights against smaller opponents like Chisora and White and such, he seems very, very economical. Seems to have the right tactics. Knows how to touch them up, keep them off balance, keep their hands high with the jab, and then he brings in uppercuts and he throws left and right hooks to the body. And he seems to have very good tactics for me against short fighters in some of his recent fights. Obviously, we've seen what happened in the Wiley fight. I'm just giving you my opinion. I don't see anything in that fight that makes me think Alexander Usyk should be the favourite to win. That's all, to be honest. But I can see Usyk winning, but it will take Fury to do dumb shit in the ring, to me. Like I said, if he keeps it boring and keeps it long and just goes touch, 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 and stays patient and looks for the shots. Against someone like Usyk, you want Usyk to be the aggressor. You want to be on the back foot, hanging out the jab, hanging out the double jab, make him work, make him slip as he walks in, time him as he comes in. Do you know what I mean? Height and reach. There comes a point where height and reach is just too much. That's just my opinion, But like I said before, I can definitely see Usyk winning the fight. Simon H says Usyk has scored 0 knockdowns as a heavyweight. Did he knock down that used car salesman, Chaz Witherspoon? I don't know. DJN1 says Wilder was doing well with the body jabs early in the first fight, but abandoned it. Yeah, Wilder is 6'7" and has quite a big wingspan. Usyk isn't, though, is he? A different kind of fight. And Wilder's different because Wilder had a lot of success with the body jabs because really you have to let those body jabs go because he's trying to set up the right hand to the top. So it is what it is. Wilder's a completely different ball game because you know what Wilder's trying to do. It's not the jabs to the body, it's the right hand that follows it. So you've got to be careful with the jab to the body because it's the right hand. Like he's got genuine knockout power. I'm not sure if Usyk has genuine. I don't want to listen. Let me get back to the point. Get your last comments in. Get your comments in, and then we'll talk about something else, and then we'll call it a day, right? Get your comments in. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying Usyk can't win the fight. I'm just saying, if just on size and reach alone, right? If Fury does what he's supposed to do in the fight, he should win the fight. I'm just saying that, yeah. I'm not saying he will win, but I'm saying if he does what he's supposed to do in the fight, the size and reach will be way too much. In my opinion, it will be a bit too much. But like I said, he might not do what he's supposed to do. And if he tries to get aggressive with Alexander Usyk and tries to push him back, it could be interesting. Because I think Usyk will walk him onto shots all day. If he tries to get on the front foot with Usyk and tries to be aggressive, I think Usyk will walk him onto all kinds of shots and possibly get a points win. That's why I see Usyk winning. If Fury gets overly aggressive and starts trying to walk him down, back him up, and bully him around, then I can see Alexander Usyk taking angles, slipping out of there, throwing overhand lefts, throwing shots to the body. I can see Usyk just getting some kind of decision in a really, really shit fight. I can see that happening. Either way, I don't think it's going to be a great fight to watch either way, to be honest. I could be wrong about that. But I don't think Usyk versus Fury makes a very, very good fight. I think it's a cagey fight either way. Would you agree with that? Do you guys think it's a cagey fight? The people are undisputed and stuff and all the belts, but I've never thought necessarily that the styles are going to match and it's going to be like a barn burner fight. I think either way, you're looking at like an incredibly cagey fight either way. King Richard says, if he's so much better, then sign the contract. Yeah. I'm not Tyson Fury's manager, so I mean, I don't know what I do with that kind of comment. You know what I mean? What do I do? Let's have a look. Afternoon Ultra. Don't know much about this theory, but apparently Bob Arum and Warren don't want to sell the broadcasting rights like Eddie Hearn did to the Saudis. Okay. Right. Jason Walker said something similar. And why would they want to do that? They wouldn't want to sell the broadcasting rights, would they? Because then somebody could come in and make a massive bid for it, like DAZN. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they've got Undisputed. Why would you do that for? Why would you do that? I don't know why you would do that, but it is what it is. TG Coaching says, I don't think Fury's scared of Usyk, but his half is half. This is interesting. I don't think Fury is scared of Usyk, but his heart is half in, half out of prize fighting. Usyk is gifted enough to outpoint a half-cut Fury. I agree with that. I definitely think if Fury is not on his game, and like I said, he gets overly aggressive, and he doesn't do things and doesn't show Usyk the respect he deserves, then I can definitely see Usyk winning that fight, winning that fight on points. I can definitely see Usyk winning that fight on points. Actually, he's got to keep distance either way. If he can't keep distance, I can see Usyk nicking it on points. And I don't even think Fury will be hurt by anything, but I can just see Usyk's speed. Just see the speed difference being a bit too much for him. That's what I see. See the speed difference maybe being a bit too much. Like I see Usyk stealing it from me. You have to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. Captain Rose says, why do you think he's avoiding the fight? My honest opinion is, if you want my honest opinion on it, I don't think he's avoiding it. But I do think there's things going on in the background that aren't right. I don't think he's scared. I don't think Usyk's scared. I don't think Fury's scared, to be honest with you. I've always said this kind of thing. So my opinion on it won't really surprise you. I don't think Usyk's scared of Fury, and I don't think Fury's scared of Usyk. If I was Tyson Fury and I was looking at Usyk's fights at heavyweight, there isn't really anything in there that would make me like, wow, I don't want to fight this guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just my opinion. There wouldn't be anything, even in the fights against Anthony Joshua. Good performances. Good performances. Things that would make me say, yeah, this guy's dangerous. He needs to be respected. He's a live fighter coming into the fight. You know, we need to get it right. We need to train right. We need to train diligently. You definitely get your respect. But if you're asking me, if I was in the Fury camp and I saw his performances against Anthony Joshua and fucking Derek Chisora and stuff like that, you know, would I say, oh, this is a guy that, you know, fucking hell, we might have to skip him for a bit. We might have to try and drain him out a bit. We might have to try and, you know, wait a bit before we fight him. No, would be the answer. Genuinely. And you guys know I love Alexander. The funny thing is, I was talking about Alexander Usyk and how good he is and things just for donkeys ago, like way before everybody started jumping on the bandwagon. But I do think that, you know, like I said before, there are some people, Anthony Joshua fans, there are a certain group of people, aren't there? There are a certain group of people that are quite keen on seeing Fury getting beat. So I think Usyk's the new bogeyman, isn't he? Like last April, the bogeyman was Dillian White, wasn't it? Fury was afraid to fight Dillian White, wasn't he? Was it last January, innit? Remember, this time last year. If you go back and literally look at YouTube videos from this time last year, literally, go back and look at videos from February 2022, right? Fury was scared of White, wasn't he? And he wasn't going to fight Dillian White because he was scared of White, because he was scared of White's magical left hook, and he was going to vacate the WBC. Just don't believe me. Just go back 12 months, innit? Just go back 12 months. Go and look at YouTube videos. Go back 12 months. I'm not lying to you. Just go back and look 12 months. He was scared of Dillian, wasn't he? He didn't want to fight Dillian. He was gonna vacate the WBC because he was scared of Dillian, because Dillian beat him up in sparring. Do you remember all this? Dillian beat him up in sparring and made him cry in sparring, so he didn't want to fight Dillian until he did fight Dillian. And then when he fought Dillian, now it's the new bogeyman. And like I said before, but I will rephrase that by saying this: Fury, if he doesn't, I'm sorry, Fury and Warren deserve the criticism that they're gonna get. I'm sorry, they do deserve the criticism that they're going to get. They do deserve the criticism that they're going to get, because at the end of the day, if you're giving constant updates about updates, like Frank Warren's been doing, and telling people this fight's going to happen, right? And telling people it's going to be announced next week, and telling people there's an announcement around the corner, and there's not an announcement around the corner, then you leave yourself open to criticism. If you're Tyson Fury and you're making dumbass videos calling this dude a rabbit and calling him a middleweight and saying you're going to smash him to pieces and do all this and do all that, and you've been negotiating for fucking best part of fucking 2-3 months, and the fight still hasn't been signed, then you leave yourself open to criticism. Do you think that's a fair point? Press 1 if you agree with me, press 2 if you do. You leave yourself open to criticism, because if it was Anthony Joshua doing this stuff and Eddie Hearn, they get criticised, wouldn't they? They get criticised. If it was Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, they would get criticised for doing it. So now it's Fury and Warren. You have to say, yeah, they're going to get criticised for doing it. Do you know what I mean? You know? Simple as that. If it was Anthony Joshua doing the same shit, we'd criticise him. And to be honest, Anthony Joshua, right, and this is quite interesting, he did kind of pull something similar. People forget. Do you remember when he threatened to give out the WBO title rather than fight Usyk because he was insistent on a rematch clause? Do you remember that shit? For all you Usyk fans out there, right, which I am a big Usyk fan, by the way. You know what? If you ask me in terms of boxing, like who do I look at more? Probably more close to Usyk than Fury in terms of, you know, the boxing. I like the way Usyk boxes, right? But if you remember with Anthony Joshua, do you remember with Anthony Joshua where that fight nearly didn't happen because Matchroom insisted on a rematch clause, and the argument was, well, why is a mandatory having to do a rematch clause? Like, why is that? Do you remember? Why is it mandatory having to do a rematch clause for? He's the mandatory. You just fight and that's it. But Matchroom said, no, we'll give up the belt and he'll lose the payday if we don't get a rematch clause inserted. And do you know what? At the time, do you remember that? We were like, why are they behaving like that with Usyk though? Is that because they're a bit wary, innit? And it turned out in the end, you know, that maybe they were a bit wary of Usyk, you know? Maybe they were a bit wary of Usyk. What do you guys think about that? So maybe there is something about him and the fact that he's so straightforward, very, very bit all about business, doesn't talk a lot, just goes in there, gets it done, fight away from home, fight at home, doesn't care. Maybe there is something about him that maybe does rattle people. Maybe it does rattle promoters. Maybe it does rattle his rivals. What do you guys think about that? If you're an Usyk fan, that might be one nail to hang your hat on, right? Because we had this with Anthony Joshua, didn't we? All the delays on the fight because of, you know, he was insistent on a rematch clause being there, and people were saying, well, here's your mandatory. And if you're so confident that you're going to win at home, why are you so insistent on a rematch clause? And obviously we saw why. And then you got beat, and then there were and Aaron about taking the rematch, and you know, do you know what I mean? I do feel sorry for Usyk in a way, actually, because some of these fucking negotiations that he's been involved in have been shockers, haven't they? Do you think that's a fair comment? Like, to get the fight with Anthony Joshua, he had to jump through about 6 million hoops and get a rematch clause in there. Then he beat Anthony Joshua. Then Anthony Joshua faffed around for a fucking year or so, didn't he? Anthony Joshua faffed around for a year, traveling the world and talking to about 150 million trainers, and then he had to wait again, and then they fought. I do feel sorry for Usyk, actually, in that respect. Crazily Free says Peter Fury rates Usyk highly. Highly rates Usyk. Oh yeah, I'm sure Tyson, Shane, and Big John. Oh, absolutely, yeah. All that. But when Tyson Fury talks about he's a middleweight and all these, you know, he knows it's not gonna be an easy fight. That guy he's not. He's a very, very different human being. Listen, Usyk's gonna go down as one of the greatest fighters ever in the history of boxing. This is the same matchroom that was like AJ's all about undisputed in the belts. Harry Chan says Fury isn't avoiding Usyk. Usyk's a good boxer, but he's definitely beatable. This is what I will say. People talk about Cunningham and fucking... Who is it? They talk about Cunningham and McDermott and stuff. But they don't talk about these fights. But Breedis was very close to beating him and AJ landed pretty... Have you guys seen this Marius Breedis versus Usyk? I'm saying. I mean, I don't know, man. Do you think... What do you think about this thing? I will say it. What do you guys think about this? There's this belief from people who I don't think know anything about boxing that Alexander Usyk doesn't get hit when he gets in the boxing ring. And that's all I'm saying. Does that make sense? They're making out that Usyk's this slick guy who never takes punches in the boxing ring. Like, I've seen people say stuff like, Fury won't be able to hit Usyk. Like, you know when people talk about Usyk and Wilder, right? Online, and they say Wilder wouldn't land a punch on Usyk. And I keep saying, like, where does this fucking shit come from? That nobody can land a punch on Usyk. I mean, if you look at the state of him, Anthony Joshua landed plenty of shots on him on the first fight, because you can see by the fucking state of his face. He hurt him badly in the second fight. Tony Bellew was landing shots on Alexander Usyk. Michael Hunter landed a lot of shots on Alexander Usyk in the first half of their fight. Marius Breidis landed plenty of shots on Alexander Usyk in their fight. So where does this fucking shit come from? No, genuinely, I'm asking. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter, but where does this thing about Usyk come from that he can't be hit? I see this a lot on the internet right now. Oh, he's going to jump in there and he's just not going to get hit. He's going to make Fury miss. I've never seen Usyk as that kind of... Do you know there were listen to me. There were a handful of fighters in history, right? When guys like Roy Jones Jr. was in his prime, that was a guy who wasn't getting hit. Do you understand what I mean? Like, Roy Jones Jr. was going entire rounds without being hit by a shot. Floyd Mayweather Jr. in the peak of his career was going entire rounds in fights, literally not being hit. Like, I think if you look at CompuBox, which CompuBox is garbage, right? CompuBox is garbage. But I'm just saying, if you look at CompuBox, if you pay any attention to CompuBox, right? And if you look at least amount of punches landed against the fighter in CompuBox, I think like Mayweather has like the CompuBox record for like least amount of punches taken. It's unbelievable. Like, he was going entire rounds not taking anything. Roy Jones
Someone mentioned Pernell Whitaker. There are a handful of fighters. A handful of fighters that I've ever seen in boxing that are going through fights and going through multiple rounds and genuinely not getting touched up. Where does this stuff come about with Usyk? He don't get hit. He got hit and hurt against Anthony Joshua in that second fight. He was hurt bad. I don't know what people are talking about. So I'm just saying. I'm not saying he can't beat Fury. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying. There's this misconception about him that he jumps in the ring and that fighters are finding him difficult to hit. Well, excuse me, he is difficult to hit, but that fighters can't touch him. He got in the ring with Chisora. Did Chisora land on Usyk? Yes or no? In the chat. Did Derek Chisora land on Usyk? Okay, so Derek Chisora lands on Usyk and fucking Wilder can land on Usyk, right? Fucking Fury can land on Usyk. I think he beats Wilder anyway. I think he's the favourite to beat Wilder, but I'm just saying. Right? You know what I'm saying, right? So I don't know where that comes from. Super Saldon, it says, as a fan of Usyk, I'm not sure of either. He's good, slick, but nowhere near unhittable. Yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it, with Usyk? He can take a shot, but he does take shots. He does take shots, Usyk. He does take shots. Anyways, I guarantee you Usyk will beat Fury if that fight is ever made. No problem. No problem. Your guarantee is what we need, innit? I'll go and put my mortgage on it. Let's have a look. Captain Rose said, these boxers faff around too much. That's why this era will never be classic. Dench says, maybe it's because he's southpaw. Maybe that could have something to do with it. There is a kind of mystique, innit? There is a big mystique in boxing, isn't there, about people who fight with their left hand, innit? We've been through this before, isn't it? Like, it's one of the telltale signs that somebody hasn't been in a box ring and actually boxed is when they start, all southpaws are slick. He's a slick southpaw. You never hear all this garbage. No, mate, I'm a southpaw. You just fight with your left hand. It's not hard. It just means your power hand's your left hand. Doesn't mean you're slick. Doesn't mean you can avoid punches. There's literally actually no inherent advantage of being left-handed. The only actual advantage of being left-handed is that right-handers don't fight a lot of left-handers because there are much more right-handed people than there are left-handed people. That's the only actual real inherent advantage of being a southpaw is that right-handers, there are not a lot of left-handers around. So right-handers don't fight left. That's it. Like, there's no, just because you fight with the opposite hand, it doesn't actually give you an inherent advantage. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Press one if you understand it. People read way too much into this southpaw stuff, I'm saying that as a left-hander as well. Way too much into it. They think because somebody's left-handed, it automatically means you're slick. Oh, he's left. You know who's the worst for that? Adam Smith. Adam Smith was on Sky. He used to infuriate me with that when he used to be on Sky. Adam Smith. This guy. Remember this guy here? Play it one more time. Remember this dude here?
2, 3, 4, 5, higher. 6, 7, 2 more. 8, 9, 10.
So, Adam Smith was the worst for that. Adam Smith used to believe in it, because somebody was left-handed, he used to believe they were actually slick in the ring. Oh, he's a southpaw, so he's it doesn't mean anything. There are plenty of southpaws who aren't slick. Don't mean anything. It don't mean anything. Let's have a look here. When Fury beats Usyk up like he did to White, everyone will say Usyk was just overrated. I think Usyk's a completely different level of fighter to Dillian White, mate. I'll tell you that now. Usyk is a completely different level of fighter to Dillian White. And Dillian White didn't even prepare properly. We talked about it last night. Usyk's going to come in 100%. He's a professional. And he is one of the most professional fighters in the game. And he's going to come in at max. You know what Usyk's like. That ain't going to be no Dillian White fight. Usyk's going to come in. He's going to come in to win. He ain't going to come in to muck about. No. It's going to be a completely different fight. Completely different fight. But if Fury does beat Usyk, yes, they will say Usyk was overrated. 100%. I'll be agreement in that. If Fury does beat Usyk, press 7 if you agree. The next day, Usyk will be overrated. Yeah? I guarantee you that. Would we agree with that? That if Fury does beat Usyk, the next day, Usyk will be called overrated. And it will be, Chisora nearly beat Usyk. That's what you will hear. But I can't imagine it will be anything like the Dillian White fight, because Usyk is just going to come in. He's going to come in shape. He's going to come in professional. You know, he's not going to do any of this fucking the stuff that Dillian did, turning fucking. Usyk ain't going to come in round one and turn orthodox. It's just Usyk's a serious individual. He believes he's going to win, and he's 100% coming to win. And he believes he's going to win. He's nothing like Dillian. I don't think Dillian ever believed he could beat Tyson Fury. I said that when we saw those videos about how White's got a better chin than Fury in it and stuff. Do you remember them videos? Dillian White's got a better chin than Tyson Fury. I said from day one, I don't think Dillian White believes he's going to win the fight. Because if he believed he was going to win the fight, his behaviour running up to the fight would be different. All the stuff he's pulling, not turning up to the press conferences, turning up 3 days before, turning up 3 days before the fight on a late plane, like Dent said, turning southpaw in the beginning of the fight. All that stuff he's doing tells me he doesn't believe he can win the fight. Like, he don't really believe. He knows it's going to be a big task. He knew going in. He didn't really believe in himself. And you saw that in his performance, didn't you? Damien says, do you think Fury's decline in foot speed will play a part in the fight? I think the decline in foot speed is a little bit overrated, because I think if you see his feet against White, his feet sped up a bit. So maybe there's a small decline. Possibly. He's gonna have to. I don't want to keep going on. We'll look at Tommy Fury sparring in a minute, because we've got Tommy Fury amateur boxing video in a minute, so we'll go through that. I'll just say this: look, I think Usyk can win the fight, but I think Fury should be the favourite to win it. But I would say if Fury gets overly aggressive and tries to make it something that it's not, he'll lose the fight. If he tries to fight, I reckon if he tries to do him similar to how he did Wilder 2, which I think is a big possibility, and start trying to back him up, heavy jabs, heavy right hands, and try and start backing up Usyk in lines and be the boss and try and get him against the ropes and maul him and stuff, which I think he might do. I think he might lose that fight on points. I think Usyk's going to counter him, overhand lefts, and just little cute shots. I don't think Fury will get hurt. But I think Usyk might just pick him in a very boring fight, which splits the public. And it will be, and I think it'll be a very shit fight, a very boring fight. And I think Usyk might nick it if Fury fights with the wrong tactics. I think if he fights with the right tactics, which is just keep your distance, let Usyk come to you, keep him at the end of the jab, keep him at the end of the right hand. Lots of left hooks, which we'll talk about in later on at a different time. Lots of left hooks, but you've got to keep him at distance, make him come to you, make him be the aggressor. As he comes in, take a step back, go that way. That's what I would say. I would say go that way. Pick your spots. If you're going to be aggressive in parts. But don't try to come in and bully this guy and back this guy up in lines, because he'll be preparing for that all day. And he'll be, trying to beat Fury to the punch. Slip the jab, throwing overhand lefts and stuff. Up on the inside, throwing lots of body work, high activity. I can see it, I can definitely see a way for Usyk to win on points. Fury's just got to make it really, really fucking boring. Really fucking boring. Really, really boring. Like a really boring fight. The kind of fight that nobody ever wants to watch again. And that's it. That simple. That fucking simple. Let's see. Let's go through here. Let's go through. Who wants to see Tommy Fury? This is Tommy Fury's first fight. Yeah? Apparently. This is Tommy Fury's first fight in the amateurs. What do you think about this? He's been criticised for this. So, what do you think? Apparently, this is proof that Jake Paul is going to beat Tommy Fury. This is Tommy Fury's first round. This is part of a round, half of a round from Tommy Fury's first ever amateur fight. It's so disingenuous. Tommy Fury's first boxing fight leaked. Well, it's half a round, but let's have a look. Oh, Harry Chan saying it wasn't his first fight. This was in the finals. Well, apparently he won this one. So let's have a look. Should we do it with sound or without? Let's do it without. Let's do it without sound. So I'll be quiet. This is Tommy Fury in the first round. Good right hand there. Nearly done, just watching it. Okay, so that was Tommy Fury. That was the first minute of the first round of a Tommy Fury amateur fight. So, according to some of the comments, and we'll look at some of the comments online, people are saying this fight is proof that Jake Paul is going to destroy Tommy Fury, and people are clowning this performance. Oh, that fight's in full on YouTube, is it? I didn't know, you know. Is it on YouTube? Well, it's too late now. I would have watched it, but I don't know about the copyright, actually. I'm going to be honest with you. I was very, very impressed with what I seen from Tommy Fury in here. I mean, it looks messy. Obviously, that's hilarious, that running. But it's going to look messy because when you're fighting somebody, again, with a massive height and reach advantage, it's one of the... I've always said it. It's not, for me, it's the hardest thing to do in boxing, other than getting in the ring with a huge puncher, is getting in the ring with somebody with a massive height and reach advantage. It's an amateur fight, so it's 3-2s. So... he has to get on with it, doesn't he? He has to get on with it. He has to set about this guy. And he has to set about this guy very, very quickly. All right? It's 3-2s, isn't it? It's not pro boxing. We're not doing fucking 3-12s, right? Or 3-10s or 3-8s. You guys will know the difference between 3-2s and 6-3s. It's like a different sport, mate. A completely different sport. So he's come in. He's set about him. Now, the head movement is fine. He's taken a few right hands there. Very good head movement. But you know what I like about Tommy Fury? And this is exactly the reason why I'm actually picking him to beat Jake Paul. this video, and again, I could be wrong because I believe, listen, for me, Jake Paul is the favourite to win this fight. Like, he should be the favourite. And Jake Paul is the favourite to win this fight by KO. But I'm going with Tommy Fury to win this fight on points. All right? I'm sticking with that. And I'm sticking with it because I've always said he's got fast feet, fast hands, and he's very, very good at feinting. And this is something that I spoke about the other day. Foot feints. I don't know if Toby Blaze is here. If you look at his foot feints and the way he triggers the guy, can you see there? Watch him foot feint with the feet and trigger the jab right hand off the taller man. Do you see that? Stuff like that. Stuff like this is textbook. Textbook how you need to fight bigger, taller men. Some of the stuff he's doing in the ring. Textbook. This is textbook. Very, very good. Because with the bigger, taller guys, to be honest with, and I really struggle against the boxing against the bigger, taller guys, right? They want to ping you behind the jab. They want to create distance and get behind the jab, and they want to touch you up with the jab. And one thing they like to do, bigger, taller guys, is they love to feel leather. They like to feel contact, because when they feel contact with the jab, it enables them to gauge distance. And it enables them to work out where you are. Once they feel contact, they often then adjust their feet and get set in position. Because they're like, okay, I know where you are. I sort of felt the contact and I know where you are. So when you get in the ring with, sometimes, especially when you start off early on against a bigger, taller guy, it's very, very good if you can make them miss. Slip, dodge, make them miss. And make them miss with that jab early on. Because when you make them miss with the jab, they often have a lot of difficulty, They often have a lot of difficulty getting their distance down and figuring out where they are in the ring as opposed to you. Can you see? Like, this guy wants to touch Tommy Fury. He wants to touch. He wants to feel contact so he can adjust himself and figure out. But Tommy's very clever, and Tommy's throwing off his timing with the feints all the time. Can you see? The guy wants to time him with the jab right hand. He wants to feel contact with the jab, set his feet, touch, and then he wants to let that right hand go. But because Tommy's feinting him all over the place, he can't get into any kind of rhythm with the jab. If you just watch this, look. Miss that right hand, miss that jab, miss that double jab. Can you see? He's not able to get into any sort of comfortable rhythm. Because Tommy's feinting him with the feet, making him fall short and then coming in behind. You see, he missed another right hand there. He's missing another jab. Can you see? And this is what I'm saying. This is the kind of position that you want bigger, taller fighters to be in, where they're doing a lot of work. Look how much work this bigger, taller guy is doing. He's doing a lot of work. He's not really landing shots. He's missing right hands. He's missing a lot of shots. And he's giving up ground. That's what you want against the bigger, taller guys. What you don't want against the bigger, taller guys is when they start getting into the rhythm and they start pinging you around with that jab. They're always making contact. They're landing, and then... Because once the jab starts landing, the right hand ain't too far behind. But look, see, Tommy's making him miss. Slipping to the outside. Jab, jab, slip. Made him miss with the right hand. Comes in. See? Making sure, look at the head slots. Making sure that he slots his head away from the right hand. So when he's slotting his head to the right hand, to his own right, away from this guy's right hand. That's why the guy can't land the right hand on him. Feinted him. That's the classic. Where have we seen this before? The double feint jab to the body. Who does that? Whose patented move is that? The double feint jab to the body. Who does that? That's the signature move of you know who, innit? The double jab, the double feint jab to the body, which often then turns into the double jab to the body, feint to the head. Double feint jab to the body. Head position a bit too low. Head pointing at the floor. Not great. Again, look at that. You see, this guy can't get into any rhythm with the jab because of the feinting. Look at his next feint now. Look, feints him. Feints him, makes him fall short of the jab. That's why this guy can't land anything. 3 2-minute rounds, so it's going to be a very, very high-paced fight. I think anybody who looks at this and thinks that this fight here is some kind of sign that Tommy's going to get beaten by Jake Paul, I think you're barking up the wrong tree there. With all due respect, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. LD Phoenix, the point is, people are looking at this video of Tommy Fury and they're saying this video proves that Tommy's going to get sparked out by Jake Paul. To me, it doesn't. It actually shows Tommy Fury in quite a positive light, to be honest, because he's dealing with a very, very awkward opponent. I mean, if you look at this comment here, this is unbelievable. Ha ha ha. Well, that makes me feel not as bad for looking so bad when I first started sparring. Like, there's actually people who think they could do better. Like, legit. Like, there's people out there who think that this looks terrible. Obviously, people who don't, with all due respect, they don't box. And this is why I always say, it's not a very popular comment from me, but this is why I always say, if you haven't sort of, put gloves on, then, it is what it is, isn't it? But can you see, look, ha ha ha. Well, that makes me feel not as bad for looking so bad when I first started sparring. What? So if we put you in the ring with 6'7" Mr. Khan here, what, you think you would look as good as Tommy Fury does here in a competitive 2x3 amateur fight, which Tommy Fury actually won, by the way. Apparently, he won this fight on a split, which he won. And you think you'd be sitting there throwing double feints and throwing off the timing, yeah? Is that what you think? Look at this. Someone says, were you also sparring someone with much taller reach? Were you also sparring someone much taller than you with reach advantage and managed to get inside and land clean blows while they dance around failing to defend your advances? I've sparred a 6'7" guy. It was a massive pain in the arse. Jesus Christ almighty. The delusion, the levels of delusion or that you see on the internet are frightening, aren't they? They're literally frightening, the levels of delusion. It is what it is. Why was he only throwing lefts? I agree with this. This Tommy beats Jake. Easy. 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 What do you guys think of it? Just tell me what you think about the video. I think Jake Paul's the favourite to win. But people who are laughing at this video saying he looks terrible. He didn't look terrible at all to me. In the ring with a 6'7" guy. Can I ask you guys a question? Have you ever seen Dillian White versus Anthony Joshua in the amateurs? Have you ever seen that fight? Dillian White versus Anthony Joshua. That fight was a scrappy fight as well, Dillian White did the same kind of tactics. Have you seen that fight? Dillian White versus Anthony Joshua, the one that Dillian beat him in. I don't know if we can do this, but I don't think there's any copyright on this. But I'm going to play a little quick second of it. Like, Dillian White, Anthony Joshua. Dillian was doing the same stuff. Hunting him down. It got scrappy, it got messy. Very scrappy. It's 3-2s. Amateur boxing's very fast paced. Look, can you see? Look at Dillian there, look. Both. Dillian's on the outside, let's see. But it looks scrappy, doesn't it? Because this is what amateur boxing is. It's 3-2s, and it's incredibly high paced. Let's see, and that's what it is. Look, 3-2s, and it's incredibly high paced. So it doesn't look the same as pro boxing. They're not going to pace themselves in the same way as pro boxing. If you look at Anthony Joshua there, he looks almost unrecognisable to how he looks in the pro boxing. Can you see Anthony Joshua? When do you ever see Anthony Joshua fight like this? Look how novice Anthony Joshua. It's just the pace of the fight, but look how different Anthony Joshua looks in a 3x2 amateur fight compared to how he looks now as a seasoned professional boxer and world champion. Look, completely different ball game. And this is Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua, and they're just swinging for the hills and missing for the hills. So, what do you guys think about it? I don't know. I think it's a good. I think Tommy's all right. I think he's got a genuine chance. Yeah, Dillian looked better. Dillian Whyte, ironically, looks better on his feet. Dillian Whyte looks way better on his feet in the amateurs than he does in the pros. He's right. Yeah, I agree, Tony. And do you know what that is? Tony, what do you think? I think it's the weight. Can you see how trim Dillian is here? Look how trim Dillian is. He's so trim, isn't he? Look at that. Dillian is trim. He's not coming in at like, what was he coming in? Like it's like ridiculous weights he was coming in. 260 and shit, Dillian. He actually looks like he's been on a diet in this video. Look how springy and bouncy Dillian is on his feet though. Look at him bouncing in and out. Jesus. Dillian looks like almost like a complete different fight. Look. Some things never change with Dillian. And that's, look at the classic. This is a classic Dillian right hand here. This is Dillian at his best. Look. Watch Dillian with the right hand, look. There you go. Some things never change. That is the patented. Dillian Whyte needs to trademark that right hand, you know. Dillian Whyte needs to trademark that. Anybody who throws a right hand, yeah, and their back foot comes off the floor, literally, their back foot comes off the floor and their head comes all the way over their front foot, yeah? Dillian Whyte needs to trademark that, so that anybody who does that in the future has to pay royalties to Dillian Whyte. He honestly, he needs to trademark that. Some things never change, innit? But having said that, he's so much more bouncy on his feet, less plodding, less lethargic. He's even fucking shoulder rolling and shit. the man's even shoulder rolling and shit. Double jab on Anthony Joshua. Look. Fronted. And you can see AJ's just got no control. Can you see Anthony Joshua's got literally no... It's amateur boxing, but... Can you see Anthony Joshua has no control over the pace of the fight? Can you see he's swinging wildly? He's not getting behind his jab. No jabbing from Anthony Joshua. This is exactly the kind of fight that Anthony Joshua doesn't want to be in and doesn't want to get involved in. Even today, he doesn't like getting involved in these fights. Can you see, look, he's throwing double left hooks, jab right hand. He's got no control over the pace of this fight. And you can see how Dillian beats him. Good overhand right from Anthony Joshua. But you can see there, there's just no control. No control. And you can see straight away looking at this why Dillian wins this fight. Because it's exactly the kind of fight that Dillian Whyte wants to be involved in. Good jab from Anthony Joshua. But you can see Anthony Joshua there is having problems with the pace of the fight and getting control of the fight. As well, when we say amateur boxing is a different sport, really. Because it's 3-2s. You've got to be active. You've got to land as many shots as you can. You've got to score as many points as you can. Different sport to pro boxing. But I found that interesting. Yeah, his build is so different. I think it's beneficial, isn't it? He looks so light. My God. Crazy. Dillian's obsessed with weights. Maybe that's what it is. Because he's too heavy set. Weight and then set his style differently. Jesus. Watch Tommy last 4 fights to analyse those. Maybe I will in the run up to the fight. I think Jake Paul's the favourite to win. But all I'm saying is, if you look at the amateur boxing video, you know, look, Tommy Fury to me, like I said before, he showed more technical ability, right, in that boxing video that we just saw of him than fucking Anthony Joshua did when he was fighting Dillian Whyte in the amateurs. We just shown it there. So it is what it is. So let's finish up. The reason I've done this video is just to get this out of the way because I've got a lot of work to do. And so I don't really want to be making videos next week because I've got a lot of work to do. So I'm getting this video out of the way. I don't think Fury versus Usyk is going to happen next. That's my opinion. I don't have any inside information. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this fight does happen. But I've had a feeling for a while. I don't think this fight will happen next. And I think that there's going to be a lot of... And listen, you've got to say it's justified. There will be a lot of criticism coming Tyson Fury's way. there's going to be a lot of criticism coming the way of Frank Warren. And I would say, look, at the end of the day, I would say it's deserved. So I would just say, look, watch out for that. You know, Fury talked about that fucking surgery he's had on his elbow. You would think that with all the time that's been wasted here and there, he could have just had the surgery by now, couldn't he? Am I right in thinking that? He could have had the surgery by now and begun to start thinking about training again? Or not? Could have started, he could have fucking had that surgery, couldn't he? Very, very interesting. Give me your final comments on that. Any final comments on Usyk versus Fury? Do you think Fury is scared of Usyk? Any final comments? Perry, True Crime, UK True Crime. Tommy would have been taking the fight very seriously. Yeah, I don't believe Tommy Fury's been taking boxing seriously. Seriously, I really don't. I think the Jake Paul fight, I don't think Tommy Fury's heart's in boxing. I've always said it. Jake Paul fight, what Tommy Fury does is Tommy Fury thinks it's a lot of money for a fight he can win. Period. He's not stupid. Tommy Fury knows he ain't going to be no fucking world champion. Tommy Fury knows he ain't going to be no world champion. It's just a cash grab from Tommy Fury. It's a way that he thinks if he turns up at 100%, he thinks he wins the fight. And he thinks he makes a lot of money doing so. After the fight, we'll probably blow back up again and we won't hear from Tommy Fury again. How's he going to go from fighting Jake Paul to fighting for the WBO European fucking light heavyweight title in the copper box for $5,000? How's he going to do that? This is his world title fight for me. This is Tommy Fury's world title fight, you know? He's gonna, you know, unless another big YouTube fight comes up, maybe he can make money against the KSI or somebody like that or something like that. But Tommy Fury is gonna go the influencer route because that's where the money is, and he is boxing for money, which is fine. But he is boxing for money. Period. It's an easy way for him to make a large amount of cash in a very, very short space of time. Period. Tony's review says, if the fight doesn't happen, Fury might as well retire because people are going to go scorched earth on him. It's going to be terrible, but he deserves it. I have to be honest with you. You know, people aren't going to want to hear excuses, you know. If it was Anthony Joshua, it would be the same. So it is what it is. I do think we're going to see some very, very unpleasant things on social media. Lots of you are very, very impressed with how Didion looked in sparring. Okay. I think it's time to end today's show. It was a garbage show, but I'm just getting this out of the way so that when this fight doesn't happen in the next week or so, you've got this video. So you don't have to say to me, oh, Ultra, what do you think about Fury not fighting Usyk and blah, 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 and what do you think about this fight not happening? You can already come back to this video and you already have my opinions and you already have the opinions of people who have said so in the chat. I'm not expecting this fight to happen. I don't know who Tyson Fury is going to fight next. I do think people have a right to be upset given the fact that he's fought Chisora on the basis that he's fighting Usyk next, and I don't think he'll be fighting Usyk next. So it is what it is. I think the next week or week and a half is going to be very, very unpleasant. Not a very good time to be a social media manager in the Hertfordshire area or the Morecambe area if that's your job title in the next 7 days. Probably if I was you, I would consider booking a long holiday. And at this point, it's getting so bad, we're almost hoping that Conor Ben comes and puts his foot in it, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? We're hoping that, you know, Conor Ben starts tweeting Pep Guardiola again and putting his foot in it to take some of the heat off us. Because right now, it's not looking good. It ain't looking good, mate. Conor, does anybody know where Conor Ben is? If Conor Ben can tweet out his innocence or something, or if Conor Ben can tell everybody that it was Russian egg. Just to say, have you heard about these eggs yet? I'm hearing that these eggs were Russian. Have you heard about, let me go quickly say, has anybody heard about the egg story? And that the fact that, I don't know where I heard this. Let me see if Twitter has anything. That Conor Ben eggs didn't come from the UK. Because apparently what's happening is, in the UK, farmers apparently in the UK aren't allowed to put clomiphene in eggs. I could be wrong about this. I don't know where I heard that. Maybe it's garbage, but I've basically heard that clomiphene, yeah, UK farmers aren't allowed to put clomiphene in eggs or something. So basically, somebody said that the likelihood that clomiphene was in UK British eggs is very, very low, practically zilch, right? So somebody reckons there's a debunk for that Conor Ben egg thingy. because they're saying, look, UK farmers aren't allowed to put this shit in there. So, you know, that egg stuff is garbage. It's straight up garbage, right? Didn't happen. But then somebody somewhere else said apparently the eggs came from somewhere else, not the UK. So apparently he was given some eggs or something, and they might have come from a foreign country, and that's why they could have, in theory, had something in them. I don't know. It's getting ridiculous. It is getting absolutely ridiculous. Listen, there's a reason why, right? The British Boxing Board of Control haven't received that fucking 270 pages worth of hot garbage. You know, there's a reason why in it. Let's be honest, innit? There's a reason why the British Boxing Board of Control and UCAD haven't received that 270 pages worth of pure bollocks. They ain't received it for a reason, innit? They ain't received that shit for a reason. Because it's hot garbage, man. I'll read it, you know. I'm serious. If somebody can get hold of that document, right? I'm a very, very slow reader because I'm a slow person. But I will take the day off work, yeah, and actually sit down and try and speed read it and then do a show on it. I'm serious about that, you know. I'm serious about that. But it's interesting. It is interesting. It is interesting. So we'll have to see, innit? But get ready for that. Apparently it is eggs. But there's talk about where the eggs came from. If anybody knows about that, leave a comment if anybody knows what it is. But maybe I'll do some digging around on Twitter. But yeah, somebody said, yeah, it's foreign eggs. The eggs didn't come from here or something. Anyway, guys, I apologise for the poor quality of the last two shows. They haven't been very, very good. But, like I said before, life is a marathon, not a sprint. And so, I'm going to go now and hopefully Man United are going to get beaten today. Brian Burke. If you're interested, actually, quickly, don't go anywhere, but let me just say this right now. If you're interested, on Thursday night, I might be doing football because Man United are going to the Nou Camp. They're going to win, basically. United will beat if I cover this show live, United will beat Barcelona, basically. But I'm going to do it anyway. So we might be doing a bit of football on Thursday night. I'm a big watcher of Barcelona Football Club. I watch all the games every week, pretty much. So Barca are going to be hosting Man United at the Nou Camp. It's going to be a big game. And we will be doing a live follow-on. So if you do want to talk about that, and if you want to talk a bit about football and stuff, you know, we won't have that many people in here, but it might be okay. It might be worth coming in. We'll have a little chat, follow along, talk a bit of boxing as well. We might be doing that on Thursday. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.